My name is Lalitha Murali. I am a gifted and talented teacher for public school in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 2 years ago for my master's thesis, what I have been noticing is, originally I'm from India, but I'm a US citizen now. So how does, as a gifted and talented teacher, in general, every parent thinks that their child is brilliant, their child is genius. So I was wondering whether is this, so when you think about countries like India, other, maybe Pakistan too, everyone wants their child to be a doctor or engineer or a lawyer, some kind of a professional. There's nothing wrong in parents thinking like that. But when we think about from the student's perspective, so as a gifted and talented teacher, I get some students, so they'll tell me that, no, this is what I wanted to do, but my parents are making me do this, so I'm kind of stressed. So we hear every day in the daily newspaper that how kids of various ages, not only elementary, middle and high school, even college students, they all are stressed about so many things, There are various multiple reasons for that. But I thought, why not I delve into that? So my master's thesis was on stress impact on middle and high school students. So what I did is, I made a questionnaire for parents, students and teachers. So I surveyed 100 teachers, 100 students and parents from Indian school, which is a very similar school compared to the US. These schools are private, and also the students, they have all the students of high caliber. And similarly, I interviewed my students who are gifted learners, from 4th to 8th grade. So with the comparison study, I'm going to show you. So I just gave you an impact. So this is what I did. Then I noticed that it is very common in every culture. So let's go through that. So that was so that just to give you the background information, that's what I did in master's. So for my PhD, what I have been noticing is, yes, we talk about in America the achievement gap between a rich white American kids and a poor Hispanic or black or even the poor kids, how there is an achievement gap, why some affluent families can help their children be successful in their life by giving them so many opportunities to visit the museums, making them participate in various extracurricular activities. And when compared to the poor kid, who has to just think about where he is going to sleep that night, what is going to be a meal for dinner, so then how can you compare these two children as a teacher, so what kind of opportunities I should provide to this type of child, if I provide this opportunity, will this child be successful as the affluent, so that is my PhD proposal. So for the bioethics and choices, we all face the moral dilemmas, so there have been numerous books written to explain the moral theories and how these can be applied to dilemmas we face every day in life. So bioethics includes ethical issues related to all branches of knowledge, including the environment, life science, medicine and associated technologies. To ensure public participation and making wise decisions about their own and their children's future, providing bioethics education at all levels is necessary. Then I thought, why don't I delve into that? So I, along with 5 other educators in the Milwaukee area, we applied for a federal grant, and so we picked randomly some students. And we gave them an opportunity. We told them that, oh, you have been selected out of so many students, so you are going to do a project-based learning. You get to choose topic of your choice. You get to then, the professionals came and worked with them. And these kids were so motivated, Generally, they are not in my regular gifted and talented classroom. So these students, they were so happy to come to my classroom to work on this project. And then by end of the year, I tested them at the beginning of the year, and then I told them this is what you are going to do. So they did the project, and then after they finished the project, we tested them. Almost all of them, their scores went up. So it shows that every child has that curiosity, you know, in him or her. And if we provide the same opportunity to all the kids, you know, so we can see the tremendous impact in the children's education. So that is, so I'm happy to say that we are going to apply for the next grant. Now more schools are willing to participate, and we want to specifically pick some ethnic groups to see that, you know, how this affects that type of children also. So another thing, there's we all know about the UNESCO's Declaration on the Human Genome and Human Rights, the universal by the UNESCO's General Conference in 1997. In essence, the apparently new choices raised by the new technology acted as a catalyst to stimulate the consideration of how people make decisions in general. So you simply do not ignore some type, oh my God, so-and-so, you are so-and-so, I don't think you are eligible for this, you know. Unnecessarily, even now, many people, you know, think about the stereotypes, you know, without understanding that person. We automatically just, you know, based on the stereotype, he's from so-and-so culture, he's going to be good, he's so-and-so from this culture, you know, he's going to be bad, you know, I don't think education will come for them, you know. We should not, especially as educators, we should not have that kind of thoughts. And then critical thinking capacity is essential for empowering persons to cope with changing times. Critical thinking should not only promote creation of ideas, but also the formation and adoption of human moral values while treating patients or while forming social decisions with regard to human health and life. It is very unfortunate that, you know, some of the educators, luckily we don't have anybody in my school, but I have seen some of the educators who, you know, who automatically show favoritism to only certain ethnic groups. So those things should be avoided. So participation can promote the creation of ideas and individuality, which we all need in the era of globalization. Learning is acknowledged as being the result of complex interacting influences. Thus, teaching must recognize numerous interconnections because of the impact it has upon people's lives. So a teacher makes a huge impact. We just heard from Professor Ravi Shankar that how his teacher made a great impact on him. So I think a teacher's job is to ask questions, to make students think for themselves, and provide opportunities for all types of learners to excel in various activities is very important. So I quickly put together an academic brief review of the literature. So many people, including psychologists, think of intelligence as a unitary entity. Various aspects of intelligence, like demonstrated in the classroom, intelligence demonstrated in everyday life, may be somewhat distinct. According to psychologist Edward Thorndike, you know, social intelligence is distinct from the kind of intelligence measured by conventional intelligence tests. Similarly, Howard Gardner has argued that interpersonal and intrapersonal intelligences are distinct from the more academic ones. Similarly, in 1984, Scribner investigated strategies used by milk processing plant workers to fill orders. She found that the least educated assemblers were able to use complex strategies for combining partially filled cases in a manner that minimized the number of moves required to complete an order. They were able to outperform the white-collar workers who substituted when assemblers were absent. Another interesting study conducted by the Lev, Murtaugh, and De La Roche in 1984, they found that effective shoppers used mental shortcuts to get an easily obtained answer, accurate clue to determine which size to buy when the same products were available in different sized containers. When the same individuals were given a test using the paper pencil format, there was no correlation between their ability to do the test and their ability to pick the best values in the supermarket. When I was growing up, I used to marvel at our bus conductors in Chennai. These people were, you know, at that time, I don't know what is the educational qualifications for the bus conductors and drivers. So in India, there will be a bus which can hold up to 75 to 80 people, but 200 people will travel in that bus. Even in footboard, you know, many people will be hanging. There will be one driver who is driving the bus, and there will be a conductor who goes around to, you know, distribute tickets and collect money. You will be amazed at his talent, because he will know which person got in which bus stop and where he has to get in. For example, if I get in and give a 10 rupees note, and if my ticket is only 1 rupee and 75 paise, he knows exactly how much balance, and he will say that, okay, before you get down, I will give you your change. Believe it or not, he will remember, and he will exactly come before the stop to give me the change. That I don't think even a mathematical person, who is very superb can do that. So these are all the things makes me wonder that, is it because those people were not given opportunity to excel? If the child is really that much bright, think about these two case studies, so we have students of various, caliber. They are very good, but unfortunately we just go by one paper-based test, to determine that he is smart and he is not smart. So that is definitely, not correct. We should be able to give the same opportunity to all types of students, There are numerous books. Recently there was a movie in America called Wonder, how a child with a kind of physical disability is a brilliant student, so but others were making fun of him, he was put in special education classroom to, nobody believed that he could be smart, but that child was the smartest kid in the school, So those are all the things makes you wonder that as a teacher, so are we doing ethical approaches, in teaching these children. But as a teacher, I wasn't surprised by these experimental studies, because I see a similar pattern in my classrooms. Students from rich and affluent families outperform the students from the poor families or the minority families, because they get a lot of opportunities to learn the materials beforehand, and they get exposed to many of them before even entering the school. Intelligence is not something that is applicable to only certain ethnic groups. If we give exposure to every kid to learn the material beforehand and give the same opportunities to excel in extracurricular activities, I am confident that each and every student will have the opportunity to excel. So this we just talked about, how 2 years ago I did a stress study on academic stress in middle and high school students, and I conducted surveys in schools in India and in USA. So why did I do this study? To better understand academic stress in the lives of students enrolled in elementary and middle schools. So I wanted to explore the effects of stress, student coping behaviors and support networks, sources of stress in both home and school environment. So 144 students from grades 4 to 9 from 3 middle schools, 130 parents and 91 teachers from Milwaukee, USA, Indore, India, and Chennai, India completed a cross-sectional survey that included questions about stress, health, coping, internal, external expectations, peers, support-seeking behavior, and stress reduction. Students reported a high prevalence of harmful physical and psychological correlates of stress and related unhealthy behaviors such as lack of concentration, moodiness, inability to sleep, anger, nail-biting, and overeating. Students felt that pressure for success contributed to many of these behaviors. Students generally reported healthy coping behaviors such as listening to music, talking to friends, playing video games, and watching television. They also reported that they felt motivated after receiving praise from teachers and parents. So it is very, very important for parents to teachers not to demotivate the children, just praise them that yes, you can do it, I believe in you, I trust you, you can do it. Parents reported that they get upset if their children don't listen to them as they have high expectations of them. They wanted their children to do well in school and be successful in life. Parents also reported that their children exhibit the stress symptoms like lack of concentration, moodiness, crying, anger, overeating, or loss of appetite at least once a week. They also reported healthy coping behaviors of their children, including listening to music, talking to friends and adults, playing video games, and watching television. This is where John's thing comes, talking to parents and adults. We have to instill that moral, communication, the values in them, because kids do respond to that. Teachers reported that students are motivated by praise and feedback, but they get pressurized by peers, parents, and teachers to do well at school. Teachers also indicated that students exhibit stress symptoms very similar. They also indicated that students use healthy coping techniques like listening to music, talking to friends and adults, going to counselors, taking quiet time, reading a book, or playing online games. Many teachers felt that they need more training to meet the needs of the students, as more and more students are feeling stressed out to do well on tests and in classes to be successful. So the results demonstrate the need for proper training to teachers to meet the needs of the students and educating students about the harmful effects of stress and teaching them successful strategies and coping mechanisms that they could use to reduce their stress. It's also important for the school districts to educate the parents about the stress behaviors and coping mechanisms so that they can provide support at home and to their children. So this goes on and on, with the, what kind of things they like and what kind of motivation, the homework policy and everything. I'm going to move to the summary page. In summary, children as young as 9 years are worried about being successful, getting good grades and getting into good college, and these desires have a large effect on the stress of these students. While stress is greatly associated with extrinsic motivations of completing work to get a good grade or being successful in life, there is no association between stress and the intrinsic motivations of interest in work and enjoying working hard. Students reported that they are more motivated by extrinsic factors such as praise, good grades, doing well, college acceptance, rather than intrinsic factors such as the desire to learn. Almost all of the students reported that they want to meet the expectations of their parents and teachers. So this shows that if a teacher could praise every student for doing their best, doing well, definitely these kids will respond. So we should not just make, students, especially the gifted education, that makes me sad that only based on one test who get 98 and 99 percentile can come to that, special privileged class to do extracurricular activities. So this is the thing that I did, the project-based learning study this past school year. The current conditions for student performance opportunities in the middle school leadership include traditional offerings such as student council, clubs and athletics. In the area of college and career opportunities, specifically in the STEM medical field, the offerings are even more limited. While career-based learning experiences at the high school are the more robust, the middle school offerings are either non-existent or extremely limited at this time. In order for students to have engaging experiences, they need opportunities to lead and explore career options in high-demand fields such as medicine. I am proud to say that for the past 10 years, I have been conducting various camps, at least once a year, for inner city children in Milwaukee on various things, teaching them how to write their resume, college readiness, arranging career fair, teaching them leadership, career, citizenship, so now this year I contacted ACLU to teach them about their citizenship rights, so mostly for inner city children who do not have these kind of opportunities. So here, I just mentioned about 5 different school districts in Milwaukee. We decided to apply for a grant to provide 2 valuable student learning outcomes in leadership and STEM medical career exploration. Our goal was to provide leadership opportunities for students to learn and practice leadership skills in mixed school, mixed demographic groups to utilize and scale in the classroom, extracurricular and community-based project with peers. Because we believe that early leadership experience can be very valuable. Selective colleges screen for demonstrated leadership experience, and studies have found that people with high school leadership experience are paid up to 33% more than those without it. The wage premium is similar to the one associated with the college degree. So this is what we did. We selected the students. So these are all some statistics about the participating schools. 3 of the schools have 0 students participating in middle school student councils to develop leadership skills. 1 school reported 20% of their school student council membership represented by gifted students, and another reported several gifted students participating in student council but with informal and unstructured activities that provided limited leadership opportunities. The last school reported 6 gifted students having the opportunity to attend a one-day leadership conference. Of the gifted students who were participating in leadership opportunities, A disproportionate number were white and not low socio-economic status. Career cruising numbers reported health science as one of the most popular career clusters in all schools participating. So averaging only 23% of the students selecting it. So these are all the further data about the importance of having the study. So accordingly, the proposal project will address these student needs by providing a collaborative series to teachers, GT coordinators and chief teachers along with a group of selected students. The series will focus on project-based learning and leadership, emphasizing goal setting, project development, assessment, collaboration and leadership. Students will learn how to write goals, establish project action plans, utilize rubrics and reflection for assessment, nurture their creativity to better address their unique needs through collaborative teaming with students from diverse backgrounds, and utilize leadership skills to design, present and scale project-based learning. So this is how we will evaluate. It will include student and educator outcomes aligned to the goals. Rubrics and reflection will be used to assess goal setting, action plans and project design and development, collaborative teamwork, presentation plans and leadership skills. The important thing is to provide opportunity for students and educators to present and scale project-based learning, addressing critical thinking, creativity, self-assessment in their schools. So why Milwaukee? It's home to both largest and small school districts in the state, as well as some of the most advantaged and disadvantaged students. Even in my district alone, 55% of the students are minority students. Of that, 35% of them are getting free lunch from school. So it is very important for teachers to meet all student needs who are craving for the collaborative opportunities to learn, design and better deliver high quality opportunities. So that was our purpose. So we did the study. So we collected the data from the districts. So some schools do the map testing, some schools do the star testing. So we test the students at the beginning of the year, middle of the year, end of the year to see their growth. And so we did all three tests with all of these students. So these are all our goals, that 85% of the students participating in the project will improve their ability to support claims with clear reasons and relevant evidence by one level on the project writing rubric. 90% of participating students will demonstrate strengthened communication skills by comparing a pre-administration and post-administration of the leadership inventory. 85% of the students participating in the project will meet expected growth on the district's star or MAC testing. 85% of the students participating in the project will demonstrate improvement in critical thinking, creativity or communication. So these are all the, as I mentioned before, we will be using the project-based learning rubric and leadership rubric to create both the pre and post assessment for students. Also we will use the map and star testing. It will measure progress in students' ability to write goals, establish project action plans, utilize rubrics and reflection for assessment, nurture their creativity to better address their unique needs through collaborative training with students from diverse backgrounds. So this is, as mentioned, I'm a middle school teacher, so this is basically for 5 to 8th grade students. So these are all the things we did. We did a 5-day workshop for these students. So schools expect educators to differentiate for all learners, including enrichment and extension for students with gifts and talents. We want to support educators in the project through collaborative opportunities. So all the teachers, when we brought all the kids, around 50 kids together, these kids learned, as well as teachers, we learned that how these kids learn. We were able to replicate this in the classrooms with other students. So this was a very successful project. So this is what we did. I just talked about it. Yep. So I'm going to just go here in the end. So I did the consent. We all got permission from all the parents that their children are doing this. So even though 5 districts participated in the last minute, 1 district could not participate. So we had 37 students who have potential to do well in school for a project-based learning project. We tested the students in either STAR or MAP in the fall. Out of the 37, 9 students did not meet the goal. We told them that they have been selected for a special project and gave them opportunity to work on a project-based learning project. All of the students enthusiastically participated and successfully finished the project on time and gave presentations about their project to the whole group. When we tested them again in the spring, all of the students met the goal except 2 students. So this shows that, you know, as teachers, we have to use that ethical things, you know, that we should give opportunity to every student, not only to a selective students. That's it.
Thank you very much, Lalitha. Who would like to ask a question first?
I would like to ask her one question.
Okay, thank you. Aruna, please.
That is with reference to the study that you had made with the children in school. But those who are living in their neighborhood, definitely they will be influenced by the neighborhood. The language they talk and the way they behave and the way they think that this should be done, that should not be done. All this will definitely, they are influenced so much by the neighborhood and by the social environment. Did you make a study of, because you have made a study of the bus conductor, have you made a study of the neighborhood where the neighborhood, they influence children? Yes. And political parties, those who are around, the party leaders or the party MPs or MLAs or councillors, whoever it is, they are influencing the children more than even the teachers. Again, that is one of the reasons why when I was watching Dr. Daryl Mazer, when he was looking at the schools run by the Indian Americans, right? I was really surprised and I believed that what he is looking at, what he is able to describe himself and then take them to do PhD. Because what they are doing with their own environment, with their own group of children, with their own Indian tribal children, they are taking care, very good care. We went to the school and when we saw there is a swimming pool, there is a playground, which is interior playground, everything is there, which can be compared to the other Western schools, Western country schools also. The same is with the tribal school. So that is one of the reasons why they are able to influence the children, because the neighborhood is influencing them, the social environment is influencing them. Have you done a research on the neighborhood influencing the children, the social environment, how many schools are there, how many schools are running in a different way, and whether children of one particular public school, they are different from the other ordinary corporation school or government school? Definitely it will be different. Have you made the research?
Okay, that's a very good question, because it is not very similar to whatever you talked is comparable to Indian schools, not in American schools. In America, every public school is the neighborhood schools. It does not matter whether a rich person lives there, next door is a poorest person. They all come to the same school. They all get the same education. They all attend the same classroom. That is the beauty of American public school system.
But sorry to interfere here.
Yeah.
In spite of the neighborhood people going to the public school, I think there are some private schools also where the rich people send their wards, or the parents who want to have better education, they send to private schools. There are some private schools. I know some schools in Pennsylvania, as I have been visiting every now and then. What do you think about this?
No, we are not comparing the private schools at all. It is only about public schools.
Then you must have come out with the limitations.
Yeah, this is only a proposal. I'm going to have the limitations of other things.
Because it's better always when you come out with your proposal, we expect you that you should express your limitations of your study.
Yes.
And of course I appreciate your methodology. It's very rigorous and interesting. Keep it up.
Thank you. Because in public schools, this is, my study is only in public schools. And what I have done is, earlier I just mentioned about, we used to, the gifted education is new to Indian schools. I don't think it has been established yet there. But in America, if a child is doing really well and getting, before entering 4th grade, so I told you that when children's school start school, we test them, and then if the child has already mastered the 4th grade material and he's getting 99 percentile in 4th grade, there is no need for him to continue 4th grade. So we promote him to 5th grade, So that kind of thing is there. But what I noticed is, only white, affluent kids were able to participate, or sometimes Asian parents whose middle school, even though they are middle class, upper middle class, if the parents are highly educated, so they kind of give that opportunity.
Sorry to intervene, Lalitha, here. Recently I have come across one of my neighbors. He's a dermatologist by profession. His son has excelled in all walks of life when he was doing his 8th standard. But there is a GO in South India promoting such students who excel 8th standard and on par with plus 2 students. He has just directly after 8th standard, he appeared for plus 2, and at one stroke he was able to do it better than others. And right now, after this thing, he has done his BTech in Kanyakumari somewhere, where is a popular MEPS college. You must have heard about that. My teacher knows better. MEPS Institute of Higher Technology. He completed his BTech. At the age of 18, he completed BTech. 18 or 17 or 18. And now he is in the final year of MS in Washington, D.C. There's a special GO in Tamil Nadu, but even in some states has that. Really, you should look into that. We also have such GOs, government orders.
Because when last year the Rotary International asked me to give a presentation in Chennai schools, I had more than 100 teachers from Chennai schools attending. So they told me this concept is brand new.
Oh, no, this is, you please check up in the Google, there is a GO. I'll give his number also, he can really contribute something.
Yeah. So,
I would like to ask one more question. You must have known about Akhilesh Yadav, who is in Uttar Pradesh. Now he is the Chief Minister. When Mr. Yadav's son, he was educated in America, in public school, and then in college. And then he came back, he is behaving like an Indian. He is behaving like an Yadav. Then what is the point in educating him? And did people who educated him studied the way in which he was behaving? It's not the same. The same thing is with the Orissa, the Chief Minister also. The Orissa Chief Minister also is like his own dad. Even though he was educated in America, even though when he was educated in US, public schools, and then in universities, his behavior is more or less the same.
I know. But you have to understand, my study is only about the schools in Milwaukee. And this is how, I totally understand that, when I gave a presentation, they said this gifted education is new. In fact, there may be one or two, in fact, there is also one in New Delhi. They contacted me, they even publicized my article in their school, in the Indian school website, that how gifted education is promoted in US, not that much in India. So I'm not telling absolutely not in India. There may be one or two cases, not every school. Here, each and every school has the gifted education in America.
That's right.
But I'm not comparing in my study India or America. My study is about just school districts in America, how we have to focus on all of these.
I would like to put forward another question. See, there are children whose parents, the mother never gets up in the morning. She gets up only after the child goes to school. Maybe in the afternoon she gets up. In some cases, the father doesn't get up at all. And when the child comes back, the mother doesn't receive them and doesn't know what has happened in the school, what project they have done, and who are the teachers. And they don't make such questions, and they don't try to find out all these from the children. And the children started losing respect for the mother. Some of them, they start losing respect for the father. Some of them lose respect for the teacher, because of the way in which the teachers are behaving outside the school. See, this is what is happening. as far as India is concerned.
Yeah.
But maybe in US, in Milwaukee, maybe because it is a closed atmosphere, closed social environment, that you have been successful. But if you only had gone to the social environment, compare it with other countries, then you will know what is happening in other countries.
Lalitha, you can make a note of it, because when you give your proposal, lot of additions will be there.
Yeah, definitely.
You can manage it.
The thing is, what Aruna mentioned, so I have done similar in my school too. So I mentioned to you that initially as a gifted teacher 10 years ago, I had students only from rich families and high, upper middle class family children, Then I went around to every classroom teacher and I told him or her that you have to identify children when you teach in the classroom who grasp the concepts quickly. We don't need to worry about their family background or parents or anything, okay? In classroom, how do they behave? I am not going to worry about that one test score that they got, So you cannot just give me students who just scored 98, 99 in the paper-based test that was taken one time at the beginning of the year. So I want students in the regular classroom, how they perform. So that is what my study is. That's why I have collected data. So I have been taking students. Earlier when I started, I had only 100% white students in my gifted and talented class. Now, this past year, I had 33% of students who are not white in my classroom with various ethnic backgrounds and various things. I'm going to talk about this one particular child who I identified through this method as a 4th grader, and she just graduated this past year, and I have had many cards, but just for this purpose I just brought one card. This is what it says. Dear Mrs. Murali, thank you for pushing me to my hardest, believing in me and exposing me to so many opportunities. Through being in your class, I was able to not only unlock my potential, but realize that I was special. I will always be grateful for the amount of time and energy you invested into bettering my future. Having you as a teacher has led to monumental growth and perseverance. Your class has meant so much to me and always will. When I look back at my greatest achievements and proudest moments, most of them couldn't have been accomplished without you. Thank you for everything, and just to know that you are appreciated. You have been more than a teacher, you have been a mentor, sincerely. So this is what I get every year. That is what made me do this project. Yes, I can make a difference in other children's lives. I should not go as a teacher and just give opportunity to students who have the parents are rich or educated or whose parents are pushing them. We need to identify those children whose parents are sleeping, who don't even care about their education. We need to identify those children and we need to give them the opportunity to excel. And I am sure each and every student will appreciate the teacher. So that is my goal, and that is my PhD, and I have collected data, and that is what I am going to do in my PhD.
We appreciate at the same time the objectivity should be maintained, Lalitha.
Yeah.
Okay, Hassan, you have a question? Go ahead.
It's a good proposal. I have a couple of questions. Question number one, you said in your proposal that you compared the public school to...
That's for my master's.
Okay, regarding your master's, you compared it with another school. Was it purely Indians in that school or South Asians or mixed? That was one question. Second question was that you said something about a success scale. I myself am a teacher. How do you rate yourself as being successful or on a success scale? For example, when I'm teaching and I teach, I say, okay, even if 20% of my students, they grasp what I teach at the end of the course, I have been successful. So what is your grading of success that you consider yourself I'm successful or I'm not successful? Do you have any ratio or any line for it?
Okay. So the first, what was your first question? I forgot.
That when you compare
Yes. So mine is a regular public school where I teach 145 students from 4th to 8th grade on a daily basis. So I wanted a similar 4th to 8th grade, 5th to 8th grade students from India. But I cannot choose regular public school because you just heard from Professor Aruna that we don't have in government schools this kind of high pushing, high environment gifted education. But there are some private schools where, yes, it's an international school, so where all the students are, so they are getting those opportunities to participate in extracurricular activities. So I approach the teachers to choose those students, It cannot be 100% same, because these are students in the gifted program in the US, and these are students in the international school, private school, where they are getting all those extracurricular opportunities, okay? So that I have mentioned in my master's that, as thing, this is a drawback, because it's not exactly the same. We don't have the same curriculum or thing. So that is the thing, okay? Number two, you asked about the success. Yes, for me as a teacher, even if I could make a difference for one child, I think that is success. Okay, it need not be 100%. That's why we have in America Educator Effectiveness Program. So every teacher has to write a goal that I have 25 students in my class. By end of the year, at least, this many students will get, or maybe all the students will show 5% growth. Something like that. Even then, we cannot say all students. We have to say 80% or 85% of the students will, based on their scores, based on their performance, we write our goals. Suppose in case of some years, I would have students where I can proudly say 100% of the students will make A's. Because you cannot do that. Sometimes I would get kids who are not that much motivated, so then I have to say that 85% of that. Did I answer my question? Okay.
I have a question from Atanasio in Mozambique. He would like to know, is there a general difference in the perception of public and private schools in the United States and the quality?
Unfortunately, it is not. In public school, people, it is like a mentality of the people, because having come from India, so we talked about these two professors. They said that how there are some private schools in India, where they have so many other opportunities and stuff, and people, even in America, what happens is the rich parents who can afford to pay $1,500 a month as tuition fee are sending their children to private school. Per child, per month, $1,500. There are some, but in public school, as I mentioned before, it's called a neighborhood school. That means whoever is living in this neighborhood, they all can attend the public school for free. It does not matter whether your dad has an income or a job, or it doesn't matter whether you are rich or poor. So that is, but if you compare the curriculum is exactly the same. We all follow the same type of curriculum in both public and private school. In fact, I can proudly say that both my daughters attended a neighborhood public school. They came school first in 12th grade. They both are attending medical school now. So there are some students who will be paying that much money attending private school. They might not be able to get into programs like that. So it's a perception of the people, and also another, some people think that, oh, my son is not that much social, and maybe he will learn better in a small classroom size, because not every parent can afford to send their child to a private school paying $1,500 a month as a tuition fee. So they will, some private schools have only 5 or 6 students in the classroom. So that kind of thing. So it is based on the parents' perception, but as a teacher and educator in America, I can say that the curriculum is the same in both private and public schools. And I am sure that kids who are motivated, who are doing well and who want to do well, can succeed in any type of school. It does not matter if it's private or public or charter. So we in India, in ordinary government schools where the father is only a rickshaw-man or a servant, their children have come first at the state level. So they make newspaper, every year. So it does not matter. It has to come within the child, So those students, it doesn't matter where they attend, they can be successful.
There's another comment from Manuel from Barcelona. He asks, it seems like in Indian schools, in South Asia, India, rote learning is common in public schools, and some private schools are more creative, or what do you think?
This is, I don't know about right now, maybe professor can talk about, we have 2 professors from India now, they can talk about how education right now in India, because I have been living in America for the last 18 years. But when I was attending school and college, yes, it was rote learning. people memorize everything, and so we did not get that much opportunity for creative learning. So now more and more international schools have been established because many people who live in America go back to India. So for their children, they put them in the international schools where the creative learning is there. But I think still public schools, the rote learning is a common method.
So one of the critical things in your method is that you'll have to interview students. So I've asked one of our students here, Rohan, could you please come next to Lalitha? Rohan's a bit larger, older than some of your students. So could you give an example interview of some questions that you would say and you plan to talk to your students?
Okay.
To Rohan, imagine.
So,
thank you, Rohan.
Suppose if Rohan is in my classroom this year as an 8th grader, and I'm going to call him because he's not in my gifted and talented classroom, okay? So he has been an ordinary student in the class who was not selected for the extracurricular activities that the school flies. So, but he knows about me. I am the gifted and talented teacher in the entire school. They know. Every kid wants to come to my classroom. So I'm going to approach Rohan and say, hey Rohan, how are you? Okay, guess what? We chose only 10 to 12 students from our school from 5 to 8th grade to do a special project on project-based learning. And all your teachers believe that you would be a successful candidate for that and you would love doing that project. What do you think about it? Are you interested in participating?
Yes, okay. I'll participate as it is a chance for me to develop.
Oh, that's very nice. I'm going to give you a couple of the permission slips. So I want you to go get signature from your parents. As I said, you are going to love this project. And I'm sure you will do well. And after end of the project, you will be giving a presentation to our school board as well as to the whole group because more than 5 school districts are going to participate. Such a great opportunity. I am so happy for you. Congratulations. So this makes the child extremely proud. How do you feel, Rohan?
I feel great.
So do you feel very happy that you got chosen as a special kid?
Yes.
Yes. So this is what happens, So when I go and tell the child, then automatically he wants to do well. So his scores are going to go up. He wants to maintain and do well. So this is what my study is about. Thank you, Rohan.
John, as a teacher, how do you feel the study can work? Because when you're teaching, was there an opportunity for gifted and talented teachers and students?
Yes, the really gifted students have to be encouraged because a lot of times they're the other students that aren't as sharp. They make fun of them as bookworms and stuff like that. But they should really have their own club.
And they underperform. Many gifted students underperform because they don't want to be made fun of.
Yeah, so they want to fit in with kind of the norm, but the norm is really doing your best, and the more students can learn to get away from that, and I respect people that have special talents. I think the better the whole school environment is going to be.
Yes.
That's what I have to say about that. And I really admire you for juggling all. Seems like the class sizes are getting so big and everything that you can really spread yourself thin. You almost. You give special treatment to the gifted students, and then the other ones feel left out. So I really admire how you can keep it all together, juggle all the different students and everything, and the principal too, and the school psychologist. You got to deal with all of those,
Yeah. So it is, so another cool thing about this. Professor Ravi Shankar, so if you do something like that, you get appreciated in America. For the last 2 years, in 2015 and 2017, this 18, I got chosen as Outstanding Teacher of the Year. And in 2016, I was chosen as one of the top 20 women who could change, who could make an influence in the society. So it was a state recognition I got. Yes, so if, I'm not doing it for that, but I'm telling that it's being appreciated by the parents and students and even the community
It
members.
motivates you.
Yes.
Rohan, you have a question? Please come out with us.
So my question is, as I'm a school student, I learn in one school in Nepal, Apex Life School. So in Apex, like, we don't discriminate any of students, like whether he is weak or even talented, who gets like A+ grade in his every term examination. My question is, like, in Apex, though the student is like very much poor in academics performance, and if he is good in his ECA extracurricular activities, so my question is, in USA, in the school that you teach, so is the extracurricular activities given to them, the facilities of extracurricular activities or ECAs given to them in academic level, or like they have to sign an agreement that they have to pass this much GPA to play or do something else like creative programs in the school?
Both. So in order to, first when right now I chose you this year to be in my class to do this program, but you don't have 98, 99 percentile right now, but your teacher thinks that you are a good student, you grasp the materials immediately, so she nominated you that he might be a good student. So right now you don't have that score, but you are in my class, okay? So you do the project and you love it. So you are being with other students and you think, this is so much fun. I like doing this project. And then you are recognized, you get a certificate, you present to the school board, and then you want to be in my class forever. And you say that, can I come again? You made me come last year to your class, can I come to your class? Then I say that, remember, you have to do well. So while doing the project, I tell you that do well. Because right now you have only 80 percentile. If you move your scores up to 95 percentile or above, you get to come to my class and do these types of projects forever. Guess what? All those students do that.
And now let's talk about the brain capacity of the students. Like, you select the students who are like academically poor results, right? Like
not very poor.
No, like medium range, like
correct.
who show interest in studies.
Yes, who is doing well in classes. Like when the teacher is teaching the concept, immediately that student is able to answer and stand up and say, he's not academically poor, he's a brilliant student. But who is underperforming, who's not being chosen because who did not do well in that one test.
And how about like this type of techniques so that these students who you select for your special type of programs can like caught up some of the facilities, like some facilities which the higher ranking student gets, and make those facilities very nice so that they get motivated to go, like they get kind of a jealous and try to like more into as they stick into studies and try to get that facility that other student gets. So how about this technique?
Our goal is to make more students do well, so that every student should be happy to come to school and do well. That is our motto. Because there's no limit in my classroom. If there are 50 students in 4th grade who want to do the project, I want to take all 50 students. But right now, I had, initially when I started, I have only 5 or 6 students. Right now, I have 25 students. So every day the parents are asking that, how can I make my child participate in your class? Even I have students who do not have that mental ability, like special needs children, they will also come and say, Miss Murali, can I come to your classroom? I heard it's so much fun. Yes, you can, so do well in your studies, you can do that. So you raised another good question. So this is for these types of students, and I want to give the opportunity to all types of students. So I have created 22 programs in my school, and many of them are open to every child who attends my school. So there is a Battle of the Books reading program, so the kids, as a team of 3, they have to read 45 books, and I give before the end of the year, I distribute the list to every student gets the summer list. At the beginning of the year, first day, I make an announcement saying that here is more copies in the library, you can take it. Guess what? If you finish 300 pages from any book from that list, You can come to my classroom for an ice cream party. So this, any child can do. So the parents whose children have special needs and other difficulties, they get the list even in the summer if they are slow learners. They make the students read some of the pages because they are happy to come to Ms. Murali's class to get the ice cream. So I provide those types of opportunities for all students, but students who have the potential, I give them opportunity to excel and go above.
So you select those students who are like medium range academic performance in the school level, right? So what about those students who don't show like kind of a great interest in their academics performance? So you leave them behind, or you?
No, they are already there. They do similar program and also different programs.
So another question I have. As I already told in yesterday's my presentation, that in Apex we allow students to conduct program in their school, like in the environment, which can go to a district or even international level that our school allows. As in Nepal, for a program you need to get a pass from the British Council Education Board. So like in USA, the states, are there any type of policies or rules which allow the students to conduct their own?
I think Daryl has removed that this thing. There are lots of programs, I can show it to you. My students won the state level, so the public policy, they have to identify a problem in the community, come up with solutions, present to the local board, state board and federal, and then they get sent to the state level competition, federal level competition. So we do lots of programs like that.
Okay, that's it.
Thank you.
Well done, Lalitha.
Thank you very much, Lalitha. I think an excellent proposal. Thank you.